G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and welcome back to another episode of Tech Tuesday, where every Tuesday we get together, we talk about some new, different, or just exciting technology in the FPV drone racing world. And today, something we all want cheap FPV goggles, because they can be really expensive, upwards of like $300, $400 US, which is pretty crazy for people just getting into the hobby. So what we're checking out today, this is a 1080p box style goggle that does things very differently with some mirrors and that sort of stuff. It's got a huge screen, and what we're going to do, we're going to stick it on the bench. It's the EACHINE EV900s. I'll link it down below anyway to the official name and all that sort of stuff. But we're going to stick it on the bench, look at the text and the specs, find out sort of how it works, and then the big one, we'll take it out to the field, fly it around and find out, is this going to be the right cheap budget goggle for you, or are there a few things that, you know, there's kind of the curse of the cheap goggle, a few things that they get right, and a few things that they get wrong. Anyway, let's stick it on the bench and find out. Alrighty, here it is on the bench. Look, it does, to get this out of the way, it does come in a pretty cool case if you're interested in that, but we're gonna put that to the side, have a look at the interesting stuff. Some of the boring bits, look, you do get a HDMI cable, which is great if you wanna hook it up to the computer. You get a couple of different ways to power it, so whether you wanna do it off a different battery, or you can also do it by a USB, that's for charging it and stuff like that. You get two antennas, you get a patch antenna and a circular polarized one. I'm not gonna be using these ones because I know in every case of my goggles, we always upgrade them to compare apples with apples, so I'll put those to the side. But let's get on with the good stuff. Let's have a look at the actual unit itself. Now for me, the first thing you're going to notice straight off the bat is this sort of shape. It looks totally different than any other goggle that we've really looked at in the past. If you want to watch a whole playlist of every single FPV goggle I've ever reviewed, go and check a little playlist, should be popping up here. That's where you can check them all out. But essentially, for this version, we're after a cheap pair of goggles, and this is sort of stretching the word cheap, because up around the $150 mark at the time of recording this anyway, you know, it's kind of getting up there a little bit, because there's some very cheap options and very expensive ones. Anyway, the thing that makes this special is there's actually a big mirror in here that reflects the screen off this side, and the screen is actually up here on the top. So we've got a huge 1080p monitor. The field of view when you're looking in this thing is extremely immersive, and in my experience, which we'll find out when we're in the field, it was very clear, but it's not going to be for everybody. Now, some of the features, to quickly rattle them off, you can see on top of that I guess unique shape, sticking it on here, it is fairly light, which is important when you're going to be wearing a goggle in the field all day. So if we stick them on the scales, remember this is with battery included, it's coming in at around 350 grams, which is not too bad considering the size of the screen. And some other ones out there, you know, I've seen some box goggles getting up close to around a kilo, so it's going to feel pretty light on your face. Now some of the other features, look, it can auto search through the channels. We can select sort of our source, so whether you want to use one antenna, two antennas, and I should say it is real diversity in here. There is two different sort of receiver units, or you can have like your AV in, all that sort of stuff. Here's where you turn it on, and here's your channel and band. Now that is very quick to sort of cycle through. One thing I want to point out though, and I'm just going to turn it on by holding this button down, see if this comes on. Hang on one sec. Alright, so get this out of the way. You can see that screen in there is absolutely massive, but the little writing that's sort of coming up just here, I'm going to press the channel button. Of course, I don't have a picture on. How are you meant to see that? So if you don't have good eyes, that's going to be very difficult to see. It'll be much better if a big part would flash up on the screen. Now, if it just said E6 or something in big letters, rather than that tiny little part up there. Hopefully they can fix that with a software update. Now, of course, you've got your HDMI port over here. This is where you've got your AV in, and here, if you want to, you know, here's your little charging port. One part I thought was interesting, they do have this little part for an SD card, but it doesn't actually take that, so it doesn't record any DVR, which is a bit of a shame at sort of this goggle's price. Now flipping it over and talking about the screen, which is absolutely massive, a 1080p display in there. You can see we have, this is actually a proper magnifying lens in here. So and there's sort of two separate ones, one for each eye, which is really nice, but there is no actual way to adjust that, so you can't do the slider or anything like that, so that part's a bit of a shame. If this doesn't fit your eyes, then you're not going to be able to, I guess, focus very well, because there's no way to sort of focus it. Now this brings us on to the big one. When it's on your face, and look, you do get, let's see if I can find it, because I was mucking around with it before. Okay, I seem to have misplaced it. I've spent about 20 minutes looking for it, because I was testing around this thing before, sort of getting used to it, all that sort of stuff, but you do get a little nose pad, and let me tell you, it's about as thick as this piece of cardboard, so that's essentially what they go on there, and that's where this thing has a big downfall for me when I've just been testing it here in the, you know, in-house, is it just, your nose doesn't fit there. And I tried to explain that to the guys, because when I was putting it on my face, this part, it just cuts into my nose terribly, and they said, have you tried the little, I guess, the little foam part? And it doesn't matter how spongy the foam on here is going to go, because it's not going to fit. It's like trying to cram your foot, you know, you might put a nice sort of comfy sock on, it's really fluffy, all that sort of stuff, but if you're trying to jam your foot into a shoe that's 5 sizes too small, it's just not going to work. And that's what it's like with this nose piece. It doesn't matter how much foam's on here, it's not going to work because your nose just isn't going to fit. So what I think we're going to have to do is really cut some of this out, because my nose, I know for me and my big honker, it's just not going to fit in here. But that's a bit of a problem for me. Maybe if you've got, I guess, you know, less of a nose, it's not protruding so much, this might be okay for you. But for me, you know, when I'm trying it on, that's something you want to find out, I guess, when we jump out into the field. I'm going to say it is pretty uncomfortable for my face anyway. That's, I guess, the boring unit out of the way. You know, it's got its internal battery, all that sort of stuff. It's easy to charge from USB. But let's get out to the good stuff. Let's find out, is this actually a good goggle for you? Is it going to work in the field, and is it worth the money at the price tag, you know, because it's sort of getting up there for a mid-range, I guess, FPV goggle. Rightio, out here in the field, of course, Mother Nature, it is super windy again. I don't know how it's going to sound with the audio, but we're checking out these. These are the EACHINE EV900, so we're going to fly them around. I'll give you my impressions, and we'll hand it over to Grumpy Trev and Crash Test Cal, see what they think as well. Cal's just having his lunch down there, hoeing in. What's on there? Look at him. Look at him. Look what's going on? What are you eating, Cal? What is that, Devon?
No.
So no Devon sandwiches for Cal, but there's no DVR, so let's fly this around and see what we think about the EACHINE EV900. All right, let's do it. All right, so we're just gonna turn it on, press one of the buttons. It is a super big screen in there. And let's try doing a bit of a search. And that didn't do much. It did cycle through, but it didn't seem to stop on the right one. All right, so my auto search isn't working, so let's manually go through this. F2. Bang. All right, so the auto search wasn't so good. At least the menu buttons on the side, they work pretty well, or as well as to be expected. And straight off the bat, there's a little bit of light leakage down here. It's not fitting my nose very well whatsoever, but it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be actually now I'm out here in the field. All right, let's do it. It's actually in focus for me. Ready? We've also got some different antennas on here as well, because that's a fair comparison versus other goggles. All right, so it's taken my eyes a little bit to adjust, and the reception seems to be okay. There, I can't notice any latency or anything like that. The colors are really nice. It's very vibrant, a very bright screen. You're not getting any pixelation or anything. Not like that thing we tested the other week, Trevor, where we had terrible pixelation. This is very, very clear. Not getting too much breakup. The light leakage I'm sort of not noticing. I don't know if I'm getting any eye strain or something. It's definitely feels very different to my on-way Commanders, but I can feel it on the bridge of my nose, but not as much as I thought I was going to. I definitely think it's going to be suited to some people with maybe like a smaller nose, not a big honker like mine, or maybe like yours, Trevor. They actually do fit around the top of my head, not too bad. That fits very well. Yeah, look, these aren't too bad in my experience. I like the performance of them, but for me it's the comfort. That's the big factor. They just don't fit like I would like a pair of goggles to. They're okay on this flight, but if I had to wear these all day, they would sort of really start to take its toll. Let me just go up a little bit. They would take its toll right under there on the bridge of my nose. Bit of a pity there's no DVR, especially when you're sort of paying this price. I think that should be included. But I guess in terms of actual video reception and screen performance, I'm a big fan of them in that regard. I don't usually like box goggles whatsoever. I find them slightly disorientating to fly, but these ones, they're not too bad. The more I fly this, the more I'm sort of getting used to that screen. It is really big, really immersive, but also on top of that, on the negative side, it's pressing more and more on my face. So definitely that bridge of your nose is going to be very sore if I flew with this all day. All right, that wind is really pushing my quad around. Alrighty, so I guess overall, look, they do some things right, but like most goggles, they've just, the screen's right, the reception's right, the menu's good, but they fit the top of my face good, but that nose bit, terribly uncomfortable. So that's a massive flaw that's going to put a lot of people off. Anyway, let's bring it in. Alrighty, do I have a mark on my nose, Trevor, that's any red marks or anything like that? Yeah, I can really feel it right there for me. It's really cutting in, but we'll have to see. Maybe it'll fit Trevor's big head. I'm probably not thinking so, and then we'll see what Crash Test Cal thinks as well. That screen's pretty good though. It's such a shame, because if they could sort of move it down or something, it would be much more suited to where your nose actually comes out of your face. These are definitely not designed for my face anyway.
Nothing's designed for your face.
Rightio, Dev, Trev, what do you reckon of the EACHINE EV900s? What do you think of the shape, first of all?
Well, yeah, they're just a pair of box goggles, so...
Yeah, do you like box goggles in the past?
No, I haven't seen a decent set. Oh no, we had one little set that wasn't too bad.
Yep.
Yeah, look, they look alright, I suppose. It looks like they've designed these maybe later for a DVR.
Yeah, it's no DVR in this version though.
No, I know that, but there's the slots there for it ready, so maybe...
What do you think of the shape?
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose. I don't know, I'll try them on my head and see what they're like, but... Oh yeah.
And we've upgraded the antennas as well.
Yeah, I noticed that, yeah. Oh shit, they're light.
How do they fit your old man face?
Actually, I'm very surprised.
Okay, so they might be fitting you.
Yeah, they're not comfortable on the nose, but I've just got static at the moment, so we plug something in. I might be able to fly this.
We'll plug your cord. What are you going to fly? What's that? The rooster? Chameleon?
Chameleon, no, the rooster's
over there. Search didn't do anything.
No, it doesn't, does it?
Alright, is that search working for you?
Search is crap.
Okay.
Which one's banned?
That's
the front
banned,
one?
Yep.
Okay, so...
Okay, so let's put it on channel 2. Tell me when it's on channel 2, then we'll cycle through the bend.
Can't even see, the screen's...
Okay, so you can't see
the writing's too small.
Let me have a squiz.
That is shit.
Yeah, that's right. The writing in the top hand corner, you do need really precise eyes. It is like size 6 font. Rightio, Dev, Trev, so we finally got it to work. The auto search didn't work. What's the picture like?
It's pretty crap and out of focus.
Okay, it's not fitting your old man eyes?
Nah.
Alright, ready to rip it around?
Nah.
What do you mean?
I'm not going to fly with these things.
You got to give it a go, mate.
Oh,
why not?
Shit.
Why not? You're refusing.
Turn it around that way. Oh, look, I'll give it a go, but I'm not...
You're not feeling confident?
Nah. Look, I can't... They should put... They've got this huge fucking screen. Why don't they give you some fonts when you're trying to change your channels you can actually see? They could use the screen. It's stupid. They'd have it flash up in the middle, you know? Oh, my eyes are slowly getting adjusted. Oh, yuck. Nah, these are terrible.
Are you getting any light leakage?
Getting any light leakage? Freaking... Oh, and it's bloody dropping out. Reception, it's shit. Look, they're nice and light on your head. If you're a newbie and got good eyes, if you wear any sort of glasses at all, these are going to be crap. Bloody hell. No, these are typical goggles. No, the reception on this is shit. Look, I'm getting dropouts around the tree, and I'm in line of sight of this thing. I'm flying slow because I can't see properly. I'm going around behind the tree and it's dropping. I'm getting a lot of... Oh, shit. Yeah, okay, these... would I recommend these to anybody? No.
Give it a grumpy Trev rating out of 10.
Look, out of 10, about a 2.
Okay.
How much are they?
About 150 bucks.
150.
You're coming in for a landing already.
150 bucks.
Yep.
Well, that's worth about a 1.
Okay.
These.
You're not a fan.
No, look, they're light. You can't read the screen. Well, I can't. I mean, you need really good eyes.
Yep.
And I can use normal goggles without glasses without a problem. Look, I've seen better. Really, I just can't see the value on those.
Right, not a fan.
No, and they're light on your head, but they are uncomfortable. They need some padding.
Well, it does come with a tiny piece of foam padding.
The light leakage around these things, if you've got a small head, a little bit smaller than mine would be okay, but much smaller than Stu's, that'd probably fit you okay. No, look,
I'm interested to know, were you getting any issues on your bridge of your nose? Or it was okay for you?
No, it was annoying. It's you could feel the pressure on it. Even though it's light, the longer you flew it, the more you felt it. But look, you're going to need really good eyes to fly that. Nah, look, give them a miss.
Alright, nice. Thanks, Trev. Rightio, CTC, you've heard Trev's ramblings. What do you think about the EV900, your impressions so far, before you've flown them around?
Well, before I've even put them on my head, they're kind of nice looking. They seem to be pretty decent quality. Nice soft coating on the plastic. They look like they're pretty decent quality.
Let's put them on. Is that better back there with your on ways, Trev?
Oh, I can see.
So they do have a pretty unique profile. Cal?
Yeah, well, first off, I can't get a really sharp focus. I'm getting about 90% there though. I just can't get that fine focus that I can get with my Fat Sharks. And that's a function, I guess, of having that magnifying glass being fixed. I wish they just made an adjustment so we could slide them back and forth and get a sharp focus for some of us older flyers. So look, the image itself looks like it's really quite good. It's a nice 16:9 image, which is seems to be quite crisp. I don't really see any pixels.
Well, it's a 1080p screen.
Yeah, right. There's no complaints with the screen quality. This could be a really good goggle. Look, it's not that much it's not that comfortable on my nose, of course, but with some modification, I think you could get around that.
What do you mean modification?
Well, if you took to it with a Dremel and just remove some material so you can actually get your snoz in there comfortably, I think you'd be on a bit of a winner.
All right, so it's not fitting your nose either?
No.
Okay.
But I think for younger people, anyone under 45 that, you know, doesn't use reading glasses, I think they're going to focus just fine on these. And look, if you don't have a big nose, a big Western nose, I don't think you're going to have a problem with the fit. But for us blokes that have big noses, it's a little bit uncomfortable.
All right, should we rip it around?
Yeah, sure.
Alrighty, CTC, we're standing up, sitting down. Is he going to get his chair? The man of many talents.
They're actually fitting my face a bit better than I thought. I've already watched a couple of review videos on YouTube of these goggles, and that seemed to be the main issue that people have with them. But I thought it was going to be really bad, but it's just bad, not really bad. Seems my eyes are getting a little more used to them.
Is it a clear screen?
It is, but it's just a focal issue. Nice wide field of view, there's no doubt about that. I like that.
Are you getting terrible dropouts or anything? Because I know on Trevor's channel it wasn't, said it was pretty bad.
No dropouts. So look, I can go fair way out without too much problem. So, you know, all in all, if this could be a good beginner goggle for someone getting into the hobby. How much are they, Stu?
About 150 bucks.
Yeah, it's not too bad for what you're getting here. You're getting a good quality, a good high resolution LED screen. And if you can focus on this screen, then I think you're onto a winner.
Can you focus personally?
Like I said, I'm about 90–95% there, but I can't get that crisp focus that I would otherwise like. So for me, no, they're not the ideal goggle unless they had some way of adjusting that magnifying lens, which they don't. So no, they're not for me, or perhaps for older flyers either. But look, I understand that these are sort of a prototype model and there may be some revisions to come. So look, obviously they're going to have to redo the faceplate so it fits a greater number of people. And look, if they could put a little slider in there to make this magnifying glass adjustable, well, I'd probably look at buying a set myself.
Trevor, what are you doing? Where's your quad?
I landed over there.
Okay. All right, Cal, so sum this up, I guess, with Cal's famous 4 words.
Pretty good for EACHINE.
Pretty good for EACHINE, okay. No worries. Thanks, Cal. All right, Cal, final thoughts? Besides the wind?
A pretty nice product from EACHINE. It's well finished, well designed, well made, and I think they've almost got it right.
All right.
They need to do something with this faceplate to make it you know, more compatible with more people. They need to do something for older flyers. If they're targeting older flyers, they may not, because they've got a magnifying glass which does not adjust. So therefore, you know, you're going to have pretty good young eyes to make a good go of this.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting, and I'm not making a joke here, but like Trevor, he's a little bit older, and he couldn't stand these he doesn't like box goggles on the best of days, but he gave these for some pretty bad ones, the scores he gave. So it's definitely not suited for his eyes, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's a shame because, you know, I started with box goggles. They were the Quantums, and they were pretty good, and I haven't seen many box goggles actually as good as those since, and that was like 2–3 years ago. So yeah. I'm a bit disappointed that, you know, the goggle manufacturers aren't doing good boxes.
It's like the curse of the cheap goggle, mate. They just get 1 or 2 things wrong that ruins it.
I know, it doesn't seem like a complex formula with the box goggle as opposed to the the regular goggles, so I don't understand why they can't make a good box goggle first time round.
All right. For those manufacturers, hit Cal up. He'll design you a good goggle, right, Cal?
I will.
Rightio, so there it is. There's my Tech Tuesday. Quick look at the EACHINE EV900s, and overall, it's still got the curse of the cheap goggle. Some things are hit, and some things are missed. So, you know, I love the big screen. I love the weight. I love the form factor, but they just don't get it right. So it doesn't fit on your face. It's not going to be perfect for all those people. If you've got older eyes, you're going to find it very hard to focus on these bad boys, especially when there's no slider. Now look, I love what they're doing with the screen, all that sort of stuff. It was very interesting how, look, Trevor wasn't getting good reception on his frequency. That could have been his quad, or maybe the diversity receivers aren't good at picking up his channel. I know myself and Cal, we actually had pretty good reception. So that issue, you know, there's already that in question. That needs to be sorted out with these goggles. And I think it's going to be good for a very select amount of people, especially with its current faceplate. It needs to be made a lot bigger for people with bigger noses. You know, if you've got a really small flat nose, then it might fit, and if you're a bit, I guess, closer sighted with some young eyes, it might be okay. But I think for the majority of people in the hobby, they're not going to find this goggle is going to fit very well straight off the bat. Anyway, what do you guys think? Drop your comments down below. I'm not too sure. I'm not really sold on them, but maybe in one of the question answers with Trevor, we might get together and cut the bottom of the nose out with a Dremel or something like that and see if we can make it a little bit more comfortable. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that, and as always, happy flying. Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos, and I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAVfutures family, there's things like bonus velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.